Welcome back to Buck, God of the Rod welding channel. Today we are going to continue welding on this car, 1965 Thunderbird. Buck, God of the Rod, welcome to my channel. Putting on a welding cap makes you feel like a badass, then you should like and subscribe to my channel. Alright, so this is where we left off yesterday. That fine weld didn't fall apart last night, so I think it's good to go. I was kind of thinking about how I'm going to do some of this, some of these small holes. I'm pretty sure I can just tack, fill up. Some of these bigger ones, I'm kind of debating on if I shouldn't just come out, cut little squares out, there. I could fill those, that one for sure. Fill that. This right here, I for sure think I probably need to cut a strip out there too, and probably down there. I think that's the way to repair these, versus trying to fill them with my wonderful welding skills. I don't know, maybe somebody will comment a better way to do it, but I think I'm just going to cut little strips, fab them, roll them. Some of these areas have a little roll to them. I mean, of course the top does, but I'll cut the strip out, make a little pattern. Yeah, anyway, before I start on that, I'm going to weld this strip in. Kind of close this area back up, try to weld that, but that's the plan. And then, like I said, over there where the firewall meets the floor, got a few gaps I got to close up, just entry points for water. So I'll seal that up, fix the hump, and then start putting in floor pans. Got a lot of work to do. I may kind of do some little pieces of metal. I need to trim that off. That metal's real thin right there. I may do like some little fab pieces first here. I need to cut a strip there where I can spot weld a piece onto this and then raise this up and weld that level. I need to close in that gap. You know, a lot of little touch-up welds. Also, I forgot, I do need to prime these arms before I cover them up. So I'll probably go ahead and get some primer inside those. I did rust treat them yesterday. They actually look like it worked. So yeah, I'll prime those, weld. Yeah, that's another piece. I want to go ahead and patch that right there. Yeah, so that will probably be most of my day messing with this stuff. Yeah, like I said, I got a lot of work to do, a lot of welding, but we knew this was coming, so nothing to do but get started. All right, I had my helper come out and run my leads for me, you know, because obviously I'm a welder, can't run my own leads. So get in here, show you what that looks like. A bunch of hammered dog shit. I know it was difficult getting in here with tools to cut, so yeah, I am gonna just kind of cover that all up with weld. So basically I'm just welding the strip back in place. Gonna start from this side because this is where it's kind of bent up. Make sure it's good and flat. As I tack it, kind of hammer it, get it in place, and then continue. You know, once I get it kind of tacked down, I'll come and grind all that clean where I can weld to clean metal there. Let's see how this goes. And obviously it's going to go well, so I'm doing it. Let's see. Hammer this out a little bit. I think I've got enough weld there that I can hit on it some without breaking loose what I've already done. Might have it a little too hot for this. Good. Go ahead and get it. Try my welding trick. Got my things on a little tight. Fucking newbie. Tacked across the top pretty well. Get this in, but it's in place. Gotta get the bottom a little better. Or I gotta get the bottom some. I haven't really put any welds on the bottom yet, but yeah, it's held in place. Looks beautiful. Just trust me for whatever you can't see on the camera, but it does look beautiful. And a little smoke, probably something on fire inside there. That's probably okay too. But yeah, it's coming along. This will take a minute, and I'm not gonna film the whole thing, but we'll show you the end results. Okay, got out of the rod here. I got on the interwebs last night, or no, not last night, just now actually. Figured, hey, you know, maybe there's some information, different metal thicknesses, how I'm supposed to have this thing set, and run across one thing on the gas bottle. The guy was talking about pressure setting, which going by the red numbers, and he was saying around 20, which I had mine much higher than that on my gas. And then he mentioned you know, make sure when you're not using these that you turn your bottle off. And I was like, well, duh. Yeah, I did that last night when I got done welding. What I didn't do was open the bottle back up today while I was welding. So we'll go ahead and do that now.
Freaking idiot.
And yeah, you can see my pressure's pretty high there, or CFH. I guess that's not pressure. PSI is on this side. But so I am going to close it some. I guess that's the cubic feet that it's letting out, which I just had opened it all the way up. Let's do this. Bleed this thing off a little bit. Okay. Now let's open it back up. Around 20. All right, so that's one setting that I have fixed and actually have gas on now. The other, for 20 gauge and 18 gauge, 20 was supposed to be set on 16, so I actually had done that correctly. Feed speed, the one I saw for 20 gauge was around 170, and I think most of this sheet metal in the car is actually 20 gauge or thinner probably. So yeah, we're gonna go with that, and I'm gonna give it a shot and see if these welds start looking a little better. Got the Cymops going on today. Daughter's out here cleaning, derusting, just random parts. Those are parts for the bottoms of the seats. Yeah, so get them cleaned up and painted probably today, and move on to some more parts. All this stuff is very time consuming, so it's good she gets out here and helps out with that stuff. So speaking of the devil, ready to clean. Well, update, I'm done with this piece. It is sealed up good. I do need to grind that right there, but pretty much that's the way it's going to look. All this down here is going to be covered up, and I will probably have to get underneath the car and tack along wherever the floor pan kind of starts coming up. Right there will be a seam, and I will try to get under and do my best and seal that up. I don't think it'll be too bad. Be on my back, but I can manage. On the tunnel, you can see I filled in several holes. I am working on the bigger ones. It is taking a few passes, but I am closing them up. I think that one was a pretty big one. They filled up nicely. So anyway, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have to strip metal. This is like my second pass. This was a pretty big hole here. I think one more time I should have it closed up, but you know, just adding some weld, grinding it off, and doing a little more. That one's complete. Not worried about the little completely filled. That's not a hole, that's just an indentation there. I'm gonna start on this one next. That was just a little pinhole dented right there, but yeah, and just working my way around. You can see I've almost finished that one. So yeah, I guess, you know, it is a little easier than I thought to fill those holes. They probably look like hammered dog shit underneath, but who cares? I'll get under there. Don't have a drive shaft in it right now, so it's easy access. I can maybe grind on it some, knock the big stuff off anyway, and hit it with some good primer and undercoating. But yeah, and I've got a few more on this side. Pretty big gash down there. I might have to actually piece some metal into that, but we'll see. Yeah, this side's got some bigger gashes. Probably try to straighten that out with a hammer. From underneath, I think I can get to it. But yeah, it's coming along. Oh, and I was given a little welding advice by my Uncle Randy. He said to always weld alone. Keep your grinder handy. And my little addition is turn the camera off, and you'll look like a YouTube welding genius. As far as side projects, I got Carly working on, this is a piece in the center console. I told you she wants to do some green accents. Most of the interior is black. This is like a hunter green she wants to add. You know, eventually we're talking about painting the car dark green, so she's wants to do it, you know, whatever. I don't care. It's going to be her car. And I think it'll look good on the inside. I just don't know about matching with that exterior of the car, but it's a very dark green, so you won't really notice. Anyway, the seat backs are finished. There's the center console over there. She's cleaning. These are like the quarter panel kick plates on the inside. She's cleaned these, put rust treatment on them, and we'll paint them tomorrow. I think we're going to go ahead and do these seat bottoms green as well. Everything else will be black. So she painted this last drum brake hub there, so those were both done. I do need to touch these up again. I got laid them on a towel before they were completely dry, so I just need to brush them off and hit them again with some primer, and they'll be ready to go. Another thing I'm going to work on is getting underneath this car, hitting it with a wire brush, hitting it with a grinder where I can. Not too extensive, but clean up under here and hit the places that need it with rust treatment, like that. Kind of grind on that a little bit, get the scale off, rust treat it, and then prime it and put some more undercoating in places like that before we go back in with the springs and the shocks and the rear end and all of that. And the gas tank. I'm gonna get up under there where the gas tank sits. It looks pretty good actually, but you can see down there is some rust scale behind where the gas tank sat. So I'm gonna clean all that up all the way, you know, to the rear end. Get all this done first. I think that'll be the first thing I go back in with after I get the floor pans done. It's the rear end. Do the same thing up here on the front end. You know, it looks pretty good under there, but we will clean. I don't know if I'm gonna get like a pressure washer in here and kind of hit everything one time. I might do that. And rust treat and prime and undercoat. So before I go back in with anything. So got all that to do still, but we're not too far, I don't think. Another week, I'll probably end up being back at work before I get to that. I think I got another week home maybe, you know, and it's Christmas, so we're gonna be busy, but yeah, lots of work to do, but we're making progress. We're putting shit back together. That's a lot more fun than tearing apart, in my opinion. This welding, I thought I was gonna it was gonna be kind of like painting to me, like tedious work that I hate, but it's actually kind of, you put that hood on, everything kind of goes dark and all you can see is that little light, and it's kind of relaxing, if that makes sense. I don't know, I enjoy it. It's very peaceful. It's like you're all by yourself, just welding. I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I do like it. Oh, and I do know that I'm not actually rod stick welding, so I'm not using a rod, but I can't think of anything that rhymes with MIG very well. I'm not using flux core. I could probably think of some things that would rhyme with flux core a little better, but core, the flux core or something, I don't know. It's not the same, but if anybody's got any ideas, good nickname. I don't know, you could probably get in trouble with some of those rhymes, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'll just stick with God of the Rod. Maybe I'll learn how to stick weld at some point.
The next day.
Well, not a beautiful day in Texas. Still not cold. 60, maybe 65, I don't know. I think it's gonna get cooler. Christmas Eve, but yeah, beautiful weather to be out on the roads. All right, I got a little strip there marked out on the tunnel. And I'm just gonna do these in two pieces. Get this in one, and then this piece down here I'll do after I get this welded back in. Don't wanna cut out, I mean, this tunnel seems pretty structural to the center of the car. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this in pieces, one step at a time. Cut a piece out, weld a piece back in, and then do it again. And these holes are just too uneven. The metal was bending as I was pulling out those spot welds, and you know, they're pretty long there and there and there. It would probably take me longer to fill them in, grind them, fill it in again, you know, filling in all the little holes. So just gonna cut them out, put new metal in. I think it'll be better that way. But yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna try this Dremel tool just because it's smaller. Got a little thicker wheel. We'll see how long it lasts. Getting the big tools out to do a little job. Work that out and cut me a new piece of metal. Narrower than I wanted, but I think it will work. We get a couple magnets, get a tack on one end, and try to hold it there, see what happens. Just kind of full disclosure, I did, let me zoom it in there. Recut this piece. The first piece I cut was a little narrow, leaving a bigger gap than I wanted. You could put a couple tacks on it and get my flathead screwdriver, kind of pry this side up a little bit, get a tack on this side, level it out, but we'll see how it goes. Screwdriver over here somewhere, so I have to use the old pocket knife. Just trying to get it leveled up. Yes. My screwdriver before I break that. That one broke off, but I need to get a tack on this side. I'll have to yeah, I definitely know Gitsy's fabrication, but you know what? It's going under the seat pedestal. Will never be seen probably ever again, I would imagine. I don't know. I think another 60 years maybe somebody else will work on this car. We'll see. That looks pretty good. Alright, so there's my fitment job, a little strip of metal. It's a little difficult because when I was prying this seat pedestal off, you know, some of this metal got bent down and I can't really get a hammer up in there with the exhaust pipes to beat it back out flat. So some of this is kind of filling in low spots with weld. But you know, all the holes are sealed up, looks good, and I'll move down to this piece, cut that out, and fill that in next. Is it just me, or do any of you other car guys ever like look at all the shit you got and wonder what the hell you were thinking? Just for a moment. Just for a moment. I mean, I'm looking at all these parts. It's not even a tenth of what I've taken off this car. And yeah, I got a lot of work.